Often the first one or two movies in a series are considered beloved classics, while the rest of the series is generally considered much worse. And I've found that fans can separate those feelings and love the movies they love while disregarding the ones they don't. But when the quality within a movie varies wildly, it's common for fans to quickly label it as a complete disaster when it really deserves a more nuanced take. One such example is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, a deeply flawed movie with some terrible moments, but it actually starts really well, and I think it deserves some love for that. And to explore that further, I'm going to do a scene breakdown of the Crystal Skull's prologue, and I'll start by identifying what I think is the primary objective of this prologue, and that is to serve as a reminder. This movie was released in 2008, 19 years after The Last Crusade, and there's just so many reminders in this prologue to make audiences feel at home. And what better way to do this than to handle it musically? Now this may be surprising, but this is the earliest that the Raiders March plays in any of the movies up to this point. The other movies hold off on the heroic introductions, but I think this is the appropriate way to do it after a 2-decade-long absence. I want to be reminded that this is an Indiana Jones movie, and they do a damn good job of this. I mean, listen to this sound. Then there are the less overt reminders. These aren't reminding us of specific things from the original trilogy, but more so reminding us that Indiana Jones is still the same character. Admittedly, this can get a bit clunky.
Well, we've been through worse.
We were younger.
After all those years we spent spying on the Reds,
I thought we were friends, Mac.
This is some pretty unnatural exposition, but I think it reminds us that Indy is still the same Indy. It brings us up to speed, even if it does it not very smoothly. The Ark of the Covenant stuff is even less smooth. I like that the warehouse they're in the beginning is the same warehouse as at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I even don't mind seeing the Ark briefly. But if they're going to go obvious and show us the Ark, why do they go subtle like 5 minutes earlier and play the Ark theme as well? Obvious, subtle, I don't really care. Just pick one though, don't pick both. And that's kind of the problem with the Crystal Skull and this prologue in general. It does a lot of good, but then they just keep hammering things over and over and over to the point that it kind of dulls my excitement. Like this prologue gives Indy a couple of really funny lines.
No defiant last words, Dr. Jones?
I like Ike.
Damn, I thought that was closer.
But I don't recall Indy being this quippy in the original trilogy. Like, he would say the occasional funny thing.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
But it never felt like a punchline. He was reacting to situations in that original trilogy. Here, he's coming off more self-aware than I would prefer.
Sure, great. Don't wait for me.
Still, these are all passable to good reminders of what it feels like to be watching an Indiana Jones movie. Unfortunately, the worst reminder is also the very first shot of the movie. First impressions are so important in life in general, but also in movies. When I went to see this movie in theaters, I was excited for the entire movie, but I was really curious how they were going to follow up on the Paramount logo gag from the original trilogy. And what we got was an abomination. And I think a lot of fans can't get past that opening shot. And I don't really blame them. Not everything needs a Paramount logo morphing into something. But maybe we should cut creative types some slack for decisions that make no sense, because this prologue is better than that opening shot. The second objective here is to immerse us in a new era. This is the first movie in the series not to take place in the 30s, and this time jump is noticeable right away with these all-American kids racing these Russians down a highway. Now this scene is a bit self-indulgent, much like the dance number in Temple of Doom's prologue, but I think this one does a better job. It's well directed, it's not afraid to be goofy fun, something that movies in the 2000s seem to be afraid of, so Crystal Skull's prologue deserves some credit for that. And I just realized that saying well directed and goofy fun basically describes Temple of Doom's dance number as well. But that opening never clicked for me. This one though, hits me in the sweet spot. Like the kids and the music feel like they were pulled directly from Back to the Future. And this scene introduces us to the Russians, a new enemy for Indy to fight in a new era.
I meant drop-dead comrade.
We're also introduced to the main bad guys, but I think they individually are much weaker than just the Russians as an archetype for the enemy in this movie. Like, I could do without any number of Irina Spalko scenes.
You're a hard man to read, Dr. Jones.
Ooh, how intimidating. She failed at reading his mind. But overall, I think this prologue does a pretty good job of immersing us in this era and doing it relatively naturally. What really sucks, though, is the visuals in this movie, and that starts right here in the prologue. And I'm not even talking about the CGI, I'll get to that later, but I'm talking about just the digital, overly smooth, glossy, glowy, shiny sheen to everything. For example, going back to the Paramount transition, I think what may bother me more than the stupid gopher is how jarring the color palette is when the transition occurs. And for the rest of the runtime, I'm always annoyed by how overproduced everything looks. Like, I don't know why this guy tying his shoe looks so fake. He's tying his shoe! The first three movies had a timeless look to them. This movie looks like it was pulled directly from, well, 2008. And I really just don't understand changing things in such a dramatic fashion that it leaves audiences wondering, am I still watching the same movie? And for those of you who feel misled because it looks like I record everything all at once, well, that's the power of editing.
I understand its power now.
So the look of this movie is distractingly bad, which is unfortunate because there's other aspects of this movie's visuals that absolutely sing. And one of the objectives of this prologue, in my opinion, was to elevate the action of the Indiana Jones series to another level. And the set pieces were already incredible in the original trilogy. This prologue doesn't do anything new there, but it's with the camera work and how dynamic the action is filmed where I think Crystal Skull really shows its merits in this prologue. Like the shot that was in all the trailers of Indy swinging after the truck, that is a masterclass in how to frame an action sequence. Just the camera work during these action scenes, like its ability to track multiple characters from different vantage points, it's next level here in this prologue. And I think that's the case both with the opening race down the highway and Indy's fight with the giant Russian. The camera work is so dynamic. Really, everything is going so well. But we still got a fridge nuke to talk about.
I thought we were friends, Mac.
The thing about all those action scenes I had just talked about, those were mostly practical effects. But the fridge scene, terrible CGI. The kind of CGI where nothing looks realistic and everything is just defying physics. Now as a one-off, I think this is actually tolerable and kind of fun in a cheesy sort of way. It's dumb and looks really bad, but I think the fridge scene actually has some charm to it and would have worked by itself had the prologue not already had its share of pointless and jarring CGI throughout. These things add up, and in my opinion, they amplify the ineffectiveness of the CGI in the nuke the fridge scene, which is all anyone ever remembers. And that's kind of the problem with this prologue and the Crystal Skull in general. It does a lot of things really well, and it feels like an Indiana Jones movie, but its flaws are so glaring, so distracting, and so notorious that I think it prevents people from being fully objective about it. But I think there's enough good in this prologue that it proves that Crystal Skull doesn't deserve the amount of hate that it gets, and that it deserves some more love. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I'll eventually get to a scene breakdown of the prologue to Dial of Destiny. It's probably not going to be my next video, but it'll happen at some point. Also, let me know in the comments if you'd be interested if I did some videos on Christopher Nolan movies, because I was thinking of doing that with The Odyssey coming out soon.